Welcome to Controlled Chaos. My name is Shana. And can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, thank you, Shana, for having me on your wonderful show. Greatly appreciate you and all the work that you're doing for people in recovery. Love what
So
you're doing.
happy to have you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yes, my name is Shaundi Goins, and I'm so honored to be here right now. I'm so honored to give back to the people that's in recovery because I know this process is a journey, and I know this process is a beautiful thing. And I tell people all the time before when I worked in higher education for 11 years, so I worked with undergrad students, I worked with college, I worked with grad students, and I used to walk around with suits and stuff like that because that was the dress code. And I remember my students would say, Mr. Goins, Mr. Goins, you wearing these nice, suits and stuff like that. Like, man, I want to be like you when I grow up. And I say, you know what, I appreciate that. But when I say, you know what? It hasn't always been like that. And I travel internationally to speak. I've traveled across the country to speak. I speak to colleges. And when people look at the degrees, the master's degrees, they look at the books, the bestseller, they look at all the certifications, they look at all the accolades, and that's great because I did accomplish all that. But like I said before, it always wasn't that way. And the truth of the matter is, I had a huge fall. I had a huge fall of an addiction called alcohol. And my addiction actually started when I was a little kid because it ran into the family. So when booze is in the refrigerator or when hard liquor is in, the liquor cabinet, in my family, that's kind of like drinking Kool-Aid. It was an everyday thing. So it was kind of normalized to me, right? Because that's how I grew up. And I'll never forget the first time I took my first drink, I was 16 years old. And you know the way that the disease progressed. At first, it was fun, get to hang out with the friends and all that stuff, hang out with the ladies. And then I had no idea that there was this demon inside of me because genetically I was predispositioned to become an addict and alcoholic. And so it went from partying, then it went to I'm having issues with my dad. I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and leave the house. Let me go get some booze, hang out with the friends, and just get over my depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's from there. And all of a sudden, I woke up one day and I needed to drink. And life was all about the partying, the drinking. And I hit a rock bottom in 2001. It was my very first rock bottom. I was doing hardcore drugs. I was doing crystal meth. I was doing ecstasy. I was doing cocaine, whatever
So
drug.
can I ask how old you were around that time?
When I got into the hardcore drugs, I want to say I was about 21 years old. It's about 21.
Okay.
But
Okay.
alcohol was always there. It was always there from day one.
But when you kind of hit your first rock bottom was kind of early on in your life, right? It was around 21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us about that. How did that go?
Well, it was a hardcore fall. I went from being a high school basketball star, and then I had a hard breakup, my first love, and then when I turned 21, I just went down a dark path. I got introduced to hardcore drugs, and within 6 months' time, because I was using crystal meth. If anybody know anything about crystal meth, that's one of the worst drugs to get addicted to. And I got homeless. I'm going from bed to bed. I'm living on people's couches. Sometimes I have to live under people's cars, right? It was cold outside in Fremont, California.
Right.
I'm hooked on alcohol. I'm hooked on crystal meth. I'm going down the streets walking 5 miles. Can I borrow a quarter here? Can I borrow a quarter here to go eat? I wasn't trying to eat. I was trying to get my drugs. I was trying to get my alcohol. I was trying to get my cigarettes, right? My life was totally chaotic. It was so unmanageable. And I was also in the street gang too, right? I was in the street gang. And so all I had was my name, right? You lose your respect, it's a wrap in the street world. And so some things happened. A deal went bad, and I had a decision to make. And I said, you know what, my life is jacked up anyway. So I'm gonna just go ahead and end it all. I'm gonna go ahead and take this last booze, this last tequila, and I'm just gonna end it all. And I'm just gonna live with grandma. I'm gonna be in grandma, in the afterlife, right? But something told me in the side, they said, Shaundi, call your mom and ask if Cura has a bed for you. My mother, she died of 20 years sobriety. God bless her soul. My dad died of 10 years sobriety. God rest his soul. But where they got their recovery was a place called Cura Incorporated. And it was a 16-month behavioral modification program. It's kind of like a boot camp. It's kind of like a Navy SEAL boot camp for people that are trying to get their life together. And I went, I decided to give up the life, and I said, it's time for me to get clean and sober. I want to change my life. It was hell. That process was hell, because all I knew was how to party, how to drink, how to use drugs. I wasn't used to being clean and sober. And those counselors, they used to drill us. They used to want to say, it's not about it's not about the drugs and alcohol, it's the behavior that gets us in trouble. So it was a behavior modification program, and I wasn't buying it, right? It wasn't until my 4th month of sobriety, I'll never forget, because I was on a discipline. And when you get disciplined, Shana, they make you write 10,000 words. 10,000 words, I kid you not, on what you did and what are you going to do to change your behavior, right? Because you're in relapse mode. You're practicing old behavior, Shaundi, right? Mm-hmm. And so they had me dig this hole, a 6x6 hole. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm dirty. Like, what is this? This is torture. So I'm like, I'm not going to dig this hole. I said, I'm going to go to Monica. I'm going to walk into her office. I'm saying, I'm not digging that hole. So I put the shovel in the damn dirt, and I walked to Monica's office. I said, Monica, I said, I'm not digging that hole. She said, you're going to dig that hole. I said, I'm not digging that hole. This is ridiculous. She said, you're going to dig that hole. I said, watch I don't. So Shana, all of a sudden, the phone rang, and she got a call. And what I found out was it was an old roommate of mine that I was stealing his CDs back when they had CDs back in the day, right? Playing music. Mm-hmm. And I was stealing his CDs here and there, selling them to get crystal meth, to get booze, right? And my ass, it caught up to me. And so on the phone, she said, I can't confirm or deny that Shaundi is in this program. And he said, well, I know he's in Cura. He says, I'm telling you right now, I want to press charges because he stole from me. He stole over $1,000 worth of CDs from me. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I can't confirm and deny this, but as long as anybody is in this program, they're safe. So I was like, Monica, who was that? And she went to just go write down and kept, write her notes, her case notes. She said, oh, that was Jimmy. Remember your old roommate? I said, yeah. I said, so how much time am I looking at? Because I'm like, okay, I'm about to go to prison. How much time am I looking at? She said, no time, just as long as you stay in Cura. So Shana, I instantly said, she said, now go dig that 6x6. And I said, Monica, I'm gonna go do that 6x6.
So you dug the hole. You dug the hole.
I dug that hole. I sure did. I took that discipline very serious, and life began to change for me. It really did.
So when you got sober, was that around when you were 21, or was that kind of later on?
So I got clean. So I went into sobriety December 1st of 2000, December 9th of 2020, 2001. And I stayed clean for about a good almost 5 years. And so during that time, I got my recovery. I was doing 12 steps. Everything was great, right? And my counselor said, Shaundi, you don't have any records. You don't have any misdemeanors. You don't have any felonies. You have your whole life ahead of you. I'm 25 at that time now, right? And he
Right.
said, I want you to go to college. He says, because unlike us OGs, the
Mhm.
kind of jobs we have are very limited because of what we did in our past and our addiction. He said, that's not you. I want you to go to college and I want you to get around the right people that's going to take you to the next level. I also want you to get around people that's at your level, but y'all striving for something higher, right? And so I said, okay, Randy. And that's what I did. I got my associate degree. I ended up becoming a substance abuse counselor. Go figure, giving back, right? And I did that for 4 years until I relapsed again in 2006, and I had to start back all over.
Mhm.
And it failed.
So, what do you think led to your relapse? Obviously, kind of in the 12 step program, which I know that's kind of what you do, kind of like me. And there's always this thing where before you relapse, you've already relapsed. So, what do you think was going down beforehand that kind of made you reach back for your old vice?
Absolutely. So in recovery, you got to have a good relapse prevention plan, right? So you can stay clean and sober. So you got to know your triggers. One of my triggers was women, right?
Okay.
And so at that time, I was married, ended up getting a divorce, single father to an autistic. My son is autistic. I didn't know
Mhm.
what the hell was going on. Um, One day there was this social media before Facebook. It was called MySpace, and
Oh, not my day.
MySpace and no space, right? And so I met this girl online. We end up going out. She
Mhm.
wanted to party. I said, I'm not into that, right? She said, let's go to a bar. My idiotic butt knew, like, do not go to that bar. You go to that bar, it's gonna be a wrap. So I
Right.
end up doing the Jack and Coke. And for the next 16 years, I was off to the races again. I relapsed.
So
And I
you
didn't
relapsed
get back
and
into yours.
went
Go ahead.
16 years. 16 years. So
16
this,
years.
I want to take a second just for the people that are listening and restate that because we always talk about, relapse sometimes happens in recovery, right? And people don't want to, feel bad about their relapses or going back or things like that. And I never want to make people feel bad about relapse, right? Because I was like the relapse queen. But what I always try to say is you never know when you're going to come back. You think you relapse and it's going to be like a day, a few days. First of all, every time I ever drank and I thought it was going to be a night, I never really did that. Oh, I'm going to have one.
Yeah.
But I did do, I'm going to get messed up tonight,
Tonight. Yeah.
just tonight, right? And go back.
Yeah.
And I wake up like 2 weeks later, like, what? What have I been doing? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, like 16 years. See, that's why relapse is such a big deal because you never know. Like 16 years, you could have been dead during that time, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. So tell us a little bit about that.
So 16 years back in my addiction, and you know, because my mother, before she passed away in 2014, my son is about maybe 4, maybe 5, and she says, if you don't get your stuff together, I'm gonna take Isaiah away. I said, no, I can't let that happen because he already lost his mom because of her addiction.
Mhm.
So I said, let me go get myself cleaned up. Um, I quit doing the meth, but I drink casually. In my sick mind, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna drink casually. Well, we know what happens when you're stone cold alcoholic like I am. Casually turned into full blown out. I can't stop drinking.
Right.
Drinking 3 bottles of champagne, drinking 24 packs of Bud Light Ice. You know, and it got really really bad. My mother had cancer in 2012. I couldn't help her out. I was unemployed. I was used to making the high 5 figures. I couldn't get back into the field. And I'm asking God, like, what's happening? Like, why we up here? Why did I get the degrees? Why are we up here? Why am I making $12 per hour now? That was eons ago. Lord, why you got me here? I'm supposed to be helping out my mom. I'm living with my mom right now on the floor. That's not supposed to happen.
Right.
It's like I cursed my higher power out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse, right? I lost my queen. I lost my family because I got with a woman. We were together for 15 years. She was my true queen. She had my back from one. She's the only mother that my oldest son ever knew. And after 15 years, we have a beautiful boy. His name is Onyx. He'll be 9 in June. I messed all that up. I messed all that up. So that was my second rock bottom, and it killed me. I had 7 seizures out of recovery, right? I had to go to detox. So I went
Now,
to
sorry, were the seizures from trying to get sober without assistance?
yes, and that's the worst thing you could ever do
Yeah.
because they told me in detox, in the prior detox, they said, Shaundi, you have severe alcohol disorder. Says you cannot stop drinking on your own. You have to medically detox. Well, I didn't listen. And so for years doing that, I'll never forget the day before my 43rd birthday, Shana, I did the whole thing. I'm not going to drink ever again, right? You know that story. I'm driving, going to get some medication, and I couldn't control my car. My hands were shaking like this, and I'm like, what's going on? I had my best friend on the line. I said, Juan, something's happening to me. He says, what's going on, best friend? I said, I don't know. I can't stop my hand from shaking. And luckily, I was able to park my car at a local 7-Eleven. And I didn't know if I was having a seizure. I didn't know if I was having an MS. I didn't know if I was having a heart attack. I never felt that way before in my life. And I thought I was going to die. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 6 more seizures after that.
Yeah.
And it finally got to the point, it said, Shaundi, do you want to die? I come to realize I'm actually not ready to die yet, you know? And so when I got to detox, it was, Shaundi, either you're going to get clean or you're going to die. Because my neurologist said, if you take one more drink ever again, you're done, dude. So I said, that was enough for me. My self-will,
Yeah.
my self-will got really, really strong, but I'm not stupid though, sister. I had to get a support group. I got a
So
support group.
that you said that's super important. And that's that, like, every time we relapse, especially if you're alcohol dependent, right? Every time we relapse and then we detox ourselves and come back and detox ourselves, every time it gets worse and worse for our body, and it's
Yeah.
more unhealthy to detox. And that's honestly how people end up dying when they try to get sober, is they're dependent on alcohol. So something we all love to say, just put the liquor down, right? But really, we got to, like, make sure that we're checking with our medical provider first,
Yeah.
because you can't just put it down if you're dependent, right? Like, you have to get medication, wean, do whatever they want you to do. But even if you're working with somebody like one of us, right, you have to, like, get medical clearance first, because you will hurt yourself if you do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got sober, and this was the second time. Did you stay sober this time?
Hey, listen, I got over 2 years of sobriety.
Yeah. Okay.
25 months, almost 26 months. You know, life is great. It was a hell of a comeback, you know. I still lost my family, you know, because it was 15 years of I put her through hell, and her being with me for 15 years, people are like, well, I don't know how the hell she lasts all those years. But I ended up
And this
losing
was
her.
life, right? Or you're
Yeah, it was with my girl that I was with for 15 years.
okay.
And she took the baby boy with her 4 hours
Mhm.
away. I was devastated.
Mhm.
I was in severe depression. And when you have a mood disorder like me, when you're bipolar type 2, regular depression for another somebody that's not bipolar, your depression goes up sky high, right? So I'm in this room by myself. I have no one to talk to except God and my support group. I would go to work every single day, sis, just super, super depressed. I was like, if I didn't have kids, I don't want to be here. I have
So
nothing.
let's talk about that, because a lot of something that a lot of people don't even realize is that most people that have alcoholism, addictions, things like that, you're going to have co-occurring disorders, right? A lot of times you're going to have some type of mental health issues. And I'm not saying everybody has mental health issues, but I don't know anyone, I have yet to work with anybody who didn't have trauma, depression, anxiety, all of the above, or some type of diagnosis, right? Hi, my name is Shana, and I'm the CEO and founder of Controlled Chaos Coaching. Here at Controlled Chaos Coaching, we believe in reframing your thinking without shame. We believe in growing from setbacks and building a life you really enjoy. We will help you to find a sobriety path that works for you, because sobriety is different for every single person. And we have an amazing group of women that will support you in your journey. So if you're ready to get sober, please contact me. You can contact me at my website, www.controlledchaoscoaching.com, or also on Instagram at Controlled Chaos Coaching. All right, I love you mucho. So you work in the field, and you obviously know that outside of your experience, right? So that was a problem that I had when I would always try to get sober, was like, I don't like how I feel sober, and I don't know how people live like this. Like, I feel like shit. I'm anxious all the time. I would actually walk around feeling like I was going to pass out because I was always having panic attacks, right? So I was like, when I'm sober, I'm super miserable. So when I drink, everyone else around me is miserable. But at
Absolutely.
least felt kind of better, not for long term, right? But for a
Mhm.
short term. And that's where the self-medicating comes in, right? Because it's
Yes.
like something about that drink is making us feel good, right? And they
Mhm.
say somewhere in, like, what is it? XXVIII something. It's like we drink because, essentially, because we like the way it makes us feel, right? Not because of this or that or whatever. It's like that feeling of what? Numbness,
Mhm.
giving me a break for a second. So can
Mhm.
you talk to us about that? About, like, the almost self-medicating, right?
Yeah. I did a lot of self-medicating um, because of the pain and suffering,
Yeah.
because of the pain and suffering of losing what I had. Now I still have my sobriety today, and in sobriety, I self-medicated up here, right?
Mhm.
Because I was in a depression. I didn't want to do nothing. I went to work, and that was it. That was it. And so I was in a fetal position, and only thing that really kept me alive and sane was God, you
Mhm.
know. And he says, you know what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to over medicate yourself. You take your mood disorder medication, you take your Caesar medication, you take it as prescribed, right?
Right.
I don't want you to overdo it because I don't want you to die, right? And so I would just stay in God's arms every single night, every single day, and I would cry because I'm reminiscent of, how did
Mhm.
you fuck all this up, Shaundi? If only you'd have got clean and sober, right? Replaying the guilt over and over and over again, right? It got to a point, sis, I'm like, you can't change the past, bro. All you have is today. And if you want to live, you got to start working this process out. And there were times where I did want to self-medicate and do it, and end it, but I didn't though. And I didn't because I had something to live for. My kids, my family, my people that I serve every single day as a speaker, coach, content creator, people like you, people in recovery, people that are trying to get recovery. I said, man, this is not about me, man. This is about the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be alive and share my experience and strength and hope so I can inspire other people to help them get their lives together and go to a higher level with people that's in recovery and inspire those who need recovery. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
it starts with the work from the inside out.
So what have you done, obviously, instead of self-medicating? I know you talked about God, and that's a huge thing for me too. What have you done, like, if I asked you for like 2 steps, right, to help with depression and to stay out of your head, what are like your 2 go-to things that you do to help with depression and things like that that would normally cause you to pick up?
I tell myself this and I tell people all the time, get some help. Get some help. I know people says, you know what? They may be lost. They may have tried everything. And I says, you know what? You haven't tried everything. You need to call that hotline. You get you some help. Get you some professional help, and go from there because that's what I had to do. You got to get the professionals involved to take that step to get yourself some help, right? The next thing when you do get some help is the universe will bring people around you. You'll get a support group, right? You'll get
Right.
counseling, you'll get medication that you need. But the blood of recovery and mental health is support, right? So I tell
Mm-hmm.
people all the time, get yourself some help medically, get you some counseling, right? If you need medication, you take medication, and then you build your support group. And I promise you from personal experience, from all my clients, all my students that had addictions, it just works. It it
Right.
it, it works. And statistically, it works.
Right. I love that. And a lot of times, and especially being a woman in sobriety, a lot of times what we talk about is how many good things have came out of sobriety. And don't get me wrong, amazing things have came out of my sobriety, and I really do enjoy my life today. But I love that you have really talked about today that life hasn't been perfect since you've gotten sober, and you have regrets and you have things that really weigh you down sometimes and bother you. And even with that, you choose to keep going. And I love that you bring that up because it's true. We don't always talk about the fact that life doesn't get easy because you got sober. What happens is you're sober and you're clear-headed, and you can take one thing at a time and kind of break it down and deal with it. Whereas before you probably would have, you know, doubled, tripled, 10 times the problem because you were wasted, right?
That's right.
And kept accumulating and adding on. So it's not that my life got amazing. I mean, a little bit, right? It got pretty good. But literally, I think in the last year, I've gone through more things in my life personally than I ever did when I was like using. And that's because everybody had like kid gloves on me, around me, right? Like they were like, okay, we can't let her get hurt. We can't let anything happen, or we can't let, basically walking on eggshells, right? And now
Yeah,
they're like, oh, she's got it. She can handle this shit,
exactly.
you know? And I have teenage girls, they're assholes. Teenage girls are so mean. But it's like, life isn't perfect because you're sober, but like you can deal with it. And also you have real friends and people that give a fuck about you, right?
That's
So they're
right.
there for you and support you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what has changed as far as your relationships and things like that in sobriety?
Oh my God. So I'll never forget. I just became a bestseller at the time. And I didn't want to do this. I said, I'm gonna tell my queen, my former queen. I says, I'm gonna tell her, I became bestseller. And she went just like this. Congratulations. That ate me up. That ate me up. So all the celebration of being the best seller, I went into that bed for 4 days. And then God said, I know you're hurting, but I want to let you know something. I said, what? He says, yesterday you celebrated your 1 year sobriety. I said, wait, what? He says, dude, you got a 1 year, 1 day sobriety. And from that point on, I looked at life totally differently. And through time, as I kept doing what I'm called to do, right? Not doing old behaviors. Today, my kid's mother, she trusts me. I get to see my sons anytime I want to, right? We got shared custody. Life is great today. As long as I stay clean and sober, so many opportunities have come my way. Working on the 4th book, doing podcasts, get ready to do a virtual speaking for South African kids. I'm clean and sober today. I'm doing everything that I was called to do. I'm here to inspire the world and help people change their lives and help them live a life that they love. And that's all because of recovery today. But it's easy, does it? It's a process. Every day it's not going to be, sunshines and stars and all that stuff there. But you take it one day at a time. You don't rush the process. Trust the process. For some reason, when we get clean and sober and you hang around the right people, the universe just start to bless you. It just start to bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And whatever you believe in, what you don't believe in, life just gets better when you stay clean and sober. You have a support group, just success is going to lead clues. And that's what I love about life. That's what I love about recovery. And this is why we winning in recovery. This is why we winning today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you about, so I see a lot of women and I'm talking about like social media, sobriety stuff, right? And content. I see a lot of women and I see a lot of Caucasian people. I don't see a lot of Black people, men or women, that speak out about sobriety on social media, right? And I haven't researched it or anything. And I want to know what you think about that as far as community, the Black community. Do you feel like there's a lot of us in recovery? Do you feel like there's a lot more out there and maybe they just don't speak about it as much? Do you feel like it's just like kind of more like a taboo subject? Or do you feel like it's not a thing yet?
I can't speak for everybody else, but I can just speak from my experience. It
Mm-hmm.
could be a lack of information that's out there for them,
Mm-hmm.
where they're at. It may be a lack of information, a lack of resources, because what you do, you're surrounded by people. You're surrounded by your environment. So
Right.
if you don't find out how to get clean and sober,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to do, right? And it
Yeah.
just depends on where you grew up at. Maybe because you get clean and sober, maybe it's a secret, right? Maybe you don't want to tell your business on social media, right? You
Mm-hmm.
you keep it anonymous, right? But I feel in this day and age that all people, African American people, we all need to join the new era of recovery out loud. Because
Right.
when we share our experience, strength, and hope, right? We just don't help our community. We help the state. We help nationally. We help internationally, right? And the more Black people show up, says, "Hey, I was here. Now I'm here, and I can do it too, and you guys too." Because what happens when you give people hope is something that they can shoot for, right?
Right.
And you
Definitely.
and I'm doing it. They say, "Shaundi, you got a master's degree. How the hell you do that? You wrote a book. How you do that?" I said, "Recovery, brother. Recovery, sister." They says, "Well, if you can do it, I can too." Right? But they need that information. But what we have to do on social media is we got to continue to spread the word and spread it to everybody, right? So
Yeah,
they
and
can
I
get
feel like definitely knew this like sober era, right? Where everybody's like sober, loud, and proud. I feel like it's becoming a big thing and it is new. I just haven't seen as many people in our community out there like loud and proud about it. And I'm waiting for it because I want them all on my podcast. I'm like, I want
Amen.
all my Black girls, all my Black guys. Like, come on, we need to be in recovery and, like, not with like the Hennessy drinking all the time and
That's
all
right.
that stuff.
That's
Like,
right.
normally proud of. And I'm not even just saying just Black people now. I'm saying like everyone. Like, it used to be glamorized so much to drink and to even other substances, right? And it's like it really is something that's like causing us all to not live up to our best selves,
Right.
whether you're an alcoholic, whether you're not. Like, if you're
Mhm.
drinking even 1 to 2 times a week, you're probably not doing all the things in the world you want to do because
Okay.
you, but like hangovers used to be like a 1 day thing. And in my old age, hangovers are like 4 days.
Right. Exactly.
Like, ain't
Exactly.
nobody got time to be knocked out and down for 4 days.
I know, right? I hear you.
But no, I was just curious what you felt about, like, as far as the Black community, if it's just that, and I know that people are more private, right? And don't always put their business out on social media or whatever that might be. But, we always got to ask the questions.
Of course we do. That creates awareness.
Okay, so tell us about your book and your speaking, all of that. Tell us about all of your stuff.
So I am working on the fourth book. Can't give you the title,
Okay.
but it looks promising according to my publisher. The current book that I wrote, um, the bestseller From Homeless to Greatness, the Shaundi Goins story. You can actually get the first 2 free chapters on my website, shondigoins.io. Get 2 free chapters of the ebook, and it talks about my life story. It talks about how I hit rock bottom, talks about how I rose back to where I'm at, and it's a hell of a story. And I know people that'll love it because all the readers have given me great reviews and said, Shaundi, we love this book. I said, okay, great. It's time to write another one. So I'm in the process of writing another one, and I'm I'm pretty sure it'll go Amazon bestseller based off my publisher. Um, we're doing content creation. We're starting on YouTube. We're spreading inspiration and motivation to help people up level their life. Um, we're spreading the word of recovery, doing it on TikTok. Doing the recovery out loud because we have to raise awareness for this disease of addiction because it's killing us, right? Um, and then I help people. I help people find jobs. I help people find careers. I help people up level their careers as a senior career coach. So I'm helping the community. I'm doing what God called me to do.
And you've worked with some really amazing people, right?
Yes, yes,
Well,
I work with.
you got to tell us, you got to name drop.
Well, some of my mentors are well known.
Hmm.
Tony Robbins, um, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, Lisa Nichols,
Hmm.
my good private mentors, David and Tara. They're phenomenal. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today because they was there for the fall. They was there for the comeback.
Yeah.
Um, um, John C. Maxwell. All these top leaders that I've rocked with for years. I'm a prodigy of them. And what my clients get from me, they
Hmm.
get from them, right? So that's why I'm able to help people coming out of prison. I help them find jobs. I help people coming out of prison, help them to elevate their careers. I help people that have mental health get that information they need so they can be leveled out. And then I can help them get careers as well. Right.
Hmm.
So that's what I love to do because I want to help people. I mean, we got to make money, but more than make money, we want to create generational wealth. Right. And that's where I come in at. I'm that guy.
I love that. So, what do you, so far throughout your life, what do you think the best advice you've ever gotten is?
I would definitely say don't rush the process. Trust the process. Don't rush it. Everybody has a purpose in life. When you find out what your purpose is, you're rocking and rolling. But it's, life is a process. But if you trust the process and when you're in alignment with your purpose, it's gonna come through for you. It's gonna be there for you. But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you can't look at what everybody else is doing. You got to run your own race. But if you trust the process and not rush it, you're gonna get to where you want to go and beyond.
Right. So you touched on something there, and that's kind of looking at other people and having that, that thought of why do they have this or how did they get that? And I'm not there yet. What do you do since you are a mentor to so many people and you are someone that people look up to? What about the people you look up to when you feel like you're not quite meeting their level or what they have and you're striving? How do you talk to yourself about that? How do you stop like the jealousy cycle or whatever and make it more of like I want to get there?
Right. I did that for years. I looked at what everybody else was doing, and I'm like, how come I'm not here? How come I'm not there? I'm more talented than this person. Bop, bop,
Mhm.
bop, bop, bop. And I got with some mentors, and I'm not gonna use the language what my coach does, but basically he just say, Shani, quit being a you know what, put your head down like a rhino, get laser focused, and do what you're called to do. Don't worry what everybody else is doing. You run your own race, right? So when I have that tunnel vision and I'm focused on what I'm called to do, right? What happens is
Mhm.
I get where I need to go and beyond because I'm in alignment with my purpose. What everybody else is doing, that's what they're doing. But I got to focus on myself. I have to focus on my soul tribe because my soul tribe is the people that God called and created me to rock with, to help, to serve, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I do. I don't focus what everybody else is doing. I focus on me, what's in front of me, one day at a time. And when I do that, everything aligns right the way it should. So put your head down. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I know it's hard, but just stay focused on what you're doing. Trust the process. If you're doing really good, you're kind-hearted, you're doing good for people, yourself, your family, you
Right.
will have a life that you love. But don't trip off what everybody else is doing. I promise you, you'll be good for it.
I love that. I totally agree because I was a person who used to be like, oh, how did they have that? And how did they get that? And when I really sit down and think about it, the truth is that I don't want their life, right? Like I don't want anybody else's life. Like I really love my life. I might want something they have, but if you want it, then you got to work for it, right?
Yeah,
Like
yes.
so just work for it. But
That's
the things that you see other people have normally, not that some people are just lucky, right? But normally those people worked to get there, So you can always look at the plan and create a plan and try to get there, right?
I think here's the thing. And I know when people say work hard, I don't think they understand the level that they need to work. Like if you just want to live a normal life, you can work hard. That's cool. But if you have big dreams, if you want to go to that next level, if you want the kind of money, the kind of house you
Mhm.
need to grind. And you need to grind 3 times harder than everybody else, but not looking at everybody else. You need
Right.
next level. You need to be like an Olympic athlete. You need to be like a professional athlete. You need to be like Beyonce. You need to go into that studio. You need to go ahead and put in that work. A lot of people, they don't understand the level of work that they got to put into, right? But it's like, dude, when you are called to do something, you got to get to work. You Beyonce don't have no time to be looking at what Mariah Carey doing, right? They
Right.
focus on what they doing. Beyonce, she grinding. LeBron James is grinding. They up there grinding. They not worried about nobody else, and they putting in that work. You got
Right.
to 120%. If you put in that hard work, you gonna make it. I promise you, gonna make it because I'm doing it today, and you doing it today.
Yep. I love that. So, if there was anything that you wanted to leave people with today, what would it be?
Don't you? I think at the end of the day, what's really important is family, friends, community. And I believe at the end of the day, you're wealthy by being happy, loving yourself, love the world. And only way to love is to be loved. If you can do those two things, you're richer than anybody else that can ever imagine. Because the most important thing is not just being successful, it's being fulfilled in life. If you have fulfillment in life, everything is all gravy.
I
That's the
love.
word. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that I got to have you on today. Can
Thank
you tell our viewers where they can find you at?
They can find me on they can find me here on Instagram at Shaundi Goins. They can find me on TikTok at Shaundi Goins. If they want to know more work that I do, is Shaundi Goins, first and last name .io. And I'm always showing up on social media. And whatever they want, whatever they want to ask me, I'm an open book. Whatever advice they need, I'm an open book. And if they want to go deeper, to go to that next level, we can have a conversation about that as well.
I love that so much. And you can find me at Controlled Chaos Coaching on basically everything: Instagram, TikTok,
Yes.
Facebook. I think I'm just Shana Epps. But I'm so excited to announce I am doing a free sobriety webinar on May 26th. So if you guys want to get in on that, make
Yes.
sure you message me. I'm so excited about it. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a blessing. And there's so many people out there that can learn from you and all you have got to do and will continue to do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shane. I really appreciate you.